Good morning and welcome to yet another truly cannot miss Saturday morning live at 11. And I'm your host, Sal Santori. And joining us today will be Rachel Moyer in Lebanon, Pennsylvania. And she is running for the Senate seat in Pennsylvania for her district. And we're seeming to have a little bit of technical stuff going on here. And of course, I am not geotechnical. And we were just doing a test a minute ago with Rachel, and we went live, and by Jove, now all of a sudden I'm not finding her. So if you bear with me, we're going to go ahead and get her on here. Okay, we send out this, and basically what we're going to be talking about today is, of course, um, her candidacy, and what we're interested to know is where has where has Ms. Moyer come from prior to the political arena? What are her motivations, and how she relates to veterans and families, and everything that we have going on, um, as far as what we're talking about, what we've been talking about with reintegration reform. The fact that the reintegration system is basically broken as it is, and that's very not defendable to say that it's otherwise, simply because the results speak for themselves. And that's something that we want to address. I'm trying desperately here to find what happened to my good friend Rachel. And this seems as though it's going to end up to be another 1 hour monologue, which I know you're tired of hearing me. Uh, you might not be tired of seeing my face because for the last 10 years it's been all radio. So now I'm as scared as you are when I see myself on camera. It's like, oh my God, who is that dude? Um, so yeah, I guess it's good to be able to laugh at yourself. Why not? Everyone else might do the same thing. They tell you, well, no, no, we're laughing with you. The irony there is, you're laughing way before I began, so you might not be so truthful with me there. And I am seeing indications that our special guest, Rachel Moyer, is joining us and is available. So let me go ahead over here. And there she is, and visit with Rachel and say hi. And
Hi,
so glad we were able to bring you on here. How are you today?
I'm doing really good. How about you, Sal?
Great. Now that you're on air with us, I'm fine. I'm a
Okay,
good
good.
camper. Yeah, yeah. The stress level has like gone way down.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So welcome to the show. Um, and what what our listeners and viewers are interested in is, who is Rachel Moyer? And in a very positive light. That's not a negative question. Like, well, who does she think she is?
Yeah,
You know,
I know.
yeah.
Well, first, thank you for having me on, Sal. Really appreciate it. Um,
Sure,
I
sure.
am Rachel Moyer. I'm a pastor's wife, mom of two little boys. They're 10 and 8 years old. And I'm a retired X ray CT MRI technologist. I worked in healthcare for 20 years, first as an elderly caregiver. And then I graduated from x ray school in 1999 and became an x ray technologist, and then progressed further through that in CT and MRI. In 2020, when the shutdown happened, that's when I became more involved into politics. I was an informed voter, but I didn't really was active into politics then. But then I started taking an active role and I
Okay.
joined a grassroots group called Free PA, and I became the Lebanon County chapter leader in October of 2020 and started my own group, held meetings, informed people of laws and mandates, what they actually meant, and we located, supported, and vetted constitutional conservatives. and help them with their elections by door knocking, poll greeting. I also trained our volunteers, our group members, to be poll watchers and poll workers. I also, in January of 2021, after talking to the Lebanon GOP chair, decided to run for the Elko School Board because it was overtaken by progressives. And we are actually a conservative community. And I ran with a friend. We did not cross file, we only ran as Republicans. And no name recognition, no signs, just did a lot of door knocking, a lot of talking to parents and community members. And we both came in first and second in our primary. And then we won in November of 2021 and got a seat on the board. So I've been an Elko school board director for 2 years now, 3 years almost. Yeah. And now I am taking the big leap to run for state representative because we need someone
Okay.
in there who is for the people. Unfortunately, right now, who we have is a career politician who goes along with Harrisburg. He may have the votes that look conservative, but his talk and actions are completely different. We need someone
Let
in there.
me
Yes.
let me back up for just a minute. And you had talked about gaining election to the school board. And what what was your platform to gain election? What type of things were you wanting to change? And then what
Right.
I'll ask is what were you able to change after you were elected?
Yeah, one of the big things at that time was the mask on the children. People wanted choice. So
Mm,
we gave them choice. One of the big things was to keep it as a choice for parents. They could decide if they wanted their child to wear a mask or not. And we were one of the only school districts in the state that did that and went against the Secretary of Health's
okay.
order um,
Okay. Okay.
until it got to be ruled unconstitutional. So that was one of the thing. Another is parental rights. I stand up for that, where it stands with the mental health that they're trying to come in. Like we need to get kids mental health when they need it. However, the public school system should not be the center of mental health. You do know what I mean? We need
I
to
know exactly.
outsource.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should
Mm.
be there to educate. Um,
Excuse me.
we can outsource for that, but we shouldn't be the actual place where they have that. And another thing
I
was
totally agree.
transparency and to help
Okay.
people with school choice.
Now, by
Yeah.
school choice, what do we mean by that? Is that what you've just been talking about as far as the specific school choice, or is there more?
Well, with school choice, it depends on the family. If they want public school, then we need to help them with their public school education and to help that child thrive. If it's homeschool, then we need to help them because, homeschool students are also tied to the public school district. And that I, as a homeschool parent, have been able to stand up for homeschoolers as a board director because there are two new laws that came out last year. And it was exciting for me as a homeschool parent to see those policies put in for our school district and to make sure that it went by the law because some school districts were going above what the law said and making it more restrictive for homeschoolers. But I was able to be a bridge for our homeschool families and to help them in that capacity. Another is, charter schools. That's a big thing right now. Um,
Okay.
but if parents if want their kids to be in charter, then they should be because every child is different in how that they learn and are educated and how they thrive. And we need to help children and families in that way.
I like what you're saying. I really do. And I also, well, I'm a parent. That's a parent. Um, but my son recently, well, last year was a high school graduate. He graduated last year in June.
hmm
And so we went through the whole COVID thing and everything that was attributable to the COVID deal.
Yeah.
And what you're talking about is really, really relevant. Um, and I'm glad to hear you being the point person on all this. Have you found a lot of support for what you're doing?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah. And
tell us.
y-
Yeah.
one of the reasons I ran for school board is because seeing how my children reacted with COVID. And I knew that if my oldest was acting out and having issues, how much more would the public school children have? Because even though my children's education was not stopped because we homeschooled, they still had depression and anger because they couldn't be with their friends. Um, that was one of the big reasons why I ran for school board.
Okay. Okay. That is a whole new rabbit's hole for us to visit.
Yes, it is. Sorry.
Yes. Yes. No. No. It's that's perfectly fine. I'm glad you brought it out because that is also a tremendous topic with huge impact.
Hmm.
Um, that whole thing created more problems than society, school boards, mental health, uh, health care is it was ever even prepared to deal with, to be able to
Correct.
handle. Can't handle, still can't handle. There's residual damage that is catastrophic and colossal.
Mhm.
Um, and what happened, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to get some hate mail here, and that's okay. Um, what happened is no one was able to field the need and be able to properly attend to the needs of our kids.
Yeah.
So a result, and this, I agree with this. A result of being locked down, um, which is a whole new animal that needs to be dealt with. But the result of being locked down was, video addiction if it hadn't already been well established prior to that. So that really cemented it. So what what I've seen happen is rather than find ways to fund more healthcare initiatives and more deeper ability to be able to deal with the fallout, the results of all this. The focus was put on suing video makers,
Mm,
uh, social media, which are contributors. Don't get me wrong,
right.
but you know, that's now you're talking about after the fact. That still doesn't fix our kids.
Hmm.
There's still no new outlet for our kids. There are no additional resources. Now you've just got the focus on Facebook and the video game makers and all that. Which, okay, to me now, nice smoke screen, but not what's needed here. So that's my take on that. We can definitely
Yeah.
stomp on that one another time. But yeah,
And
yeah,
unfortunately, our kids, especially in the public school, they lost a year. They call it the
mm,
COVID year. And it shows in their English language arts scores and in the math scores. And they're still haven't recovered. And that's statewide. And that is an issue that we need to help these kids get back up to where they used to be with their education, and they're still doing it. And that's why I believe that voice needs to be more pushed in the legislature because, like I said before, some learn better in other avenues, and then others thrive in public school.
very true. Which is absolutely why we have options.
Yeah,
You
and we
know,
need
the
them. We need to keep those options. Yes.
yeah, the one room schoolhouse was great when there were 10 kids.
Mm-hmm.
you
There's a
know.
lot more now in communities. Yes.
Yeah, we have a lot bigger communities, a lot
Yes.
more diversity, a lot more needs. So
And here
yeah,
here
go
in
ahead.
Lebanon County, sorry. Here
Mm,
in Lebanon County, we are the second fastest growing county in the state. So we need our individual school districts. making one big school district for the county, I don't think would be feasible at all. We need to keep them individual of what we have, and especially in other counties that are even bigger. One county school district would be too much to handle, and our kids may get left behind even more than, and their scores would be struggling possibly even more because that's a big undertaking.
Are there demographics on the proportions of growth in Lebanon County?
Yeah, the county commissioners should have them out. We would have to look at the county website. They should have that.
Okay. Okay. Is there any thought to taking a look at the demographics and deciding what may or may not be a higher priority need for our kids?
Hmm. That's a good question. I know right now the focus is, like I said, the ELA and math scores, because that's where they're struggling the most when it comes to education. And each
Right.
school is different in how they would tackle that.
But basically, we need to, if I'm accurate, we need to set some benchmarks and say, regardless of demographics, here's where we need to be.
Yes, and each
Yeah.
school district should have a comprehensive plan that PDE wants everyone to set every so often. And I believe it's every year that the administration does that. And we look at it as a school board individually each
Okay.
year. Where were we in the beginning? How far have we progressed now? We at the end of each school year we get a report to see has our scores improved. If
Hmm.
not, what may have been the reason. There's always data that our admin looks at to try to get us to improve and reach our goals.
Is there, and I don't mean to digress here, but going back to something I mentioned earlier about the mental health needs, and we touched
Mm-hmm.
on it. Are there improvements able to be made to better serve our kids, our students, uh,
Well, the
po-
state
post
legislature, the state legislature
post
just,
COVID? Yeah.
yeah, post COVID, the state legislature just approved more financial needs for school districts to use for mental health. The only problem that I see with that is if you start putting a mental health clinic on the school district grounds, because then we become a healthcare site and not really
Right.
for education. But we do need to help the ones that are struggling and be able to resource them out to where they need to be and help families in that area too. So I hope that those funds that they just approved would be able to help with that.
Is there a direction? I totally agree with not wanting to put like a clinic
Hmm.
on school grounds. That kind of, I don't think that would be a positive answer.
Right.
But I'm thinking perhaps additional resources in school as far as counselors,
Oh yeah.
educated folks. Is
Yeah.
that on the?
There there are counselors, and there should be in each school district, and we definitely have some great counselors in just about each building, I believe, in Elko School District.
Is there a way to determine if we have enough actually people, enough counselors per building, per students, per that type
That
of
would
thing?
be that would be a superintendent question.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
and those are the superintendents are usually the one that oversees all that, and then they report back to the board if there is a need to add another counselor or not. And
okay.
then the
How
guidance counselors just don't just do mental health, but they also look at making sure that each student is career ready and for whatever they
okay.
decide, whether it be military, college, or a vocational career.
S- Speaking of military,
Yes.
um, yes, let's go into that
Yes.
area a little bit in that direction. What is your life experience with veterans, families of veterans, the whole military picture?
Well, my grandfather was a World War II veteran, He fought in the Battle of Bulge on D-Day and received a Purple Heart for his efforts there. And then my dad and my uncle were both in Vietnam War, in the Army, actually. So we do have some veterans in our family, and we take pride in that. Um, Veterans are awesome. You all fought for our country, and
Thank you.
we could not be free if it wasn't for you.
True story. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Uh, going. That wasn't expected. Thank you.
But
You
it's true.
blindsided me there, lass. Yeah. And it's amazing how most folks don't see that. So
Correct. And it's very
yeah.
unfortunate that they don't.
No, it's just an assumption that it's just automatic. And no, that's not how it works. I'm sorry. Um, but going forward, taking a look at reintegration, which is really, really, really a hot topic,
Yes.
and a much needed issue to be addressed. How are What is your insight into that as far as like the current system? Are you very familiar with that? And there's no expectation on that question. It's just kind of like a need to know, to be able to go forward. Like,
Yeah. I am somewhat familiar with that. I've asked a veteran actually his opinion on that. And
okay, what was it?
that it is needed. We do need a little bit more growth in that area to help our veterans, our military, when they come back from a combat zone. Because you get evaluated with a questionnaire and interview to see if you need help, and the families need to be integrated into that. I believe definitely.
Yes, yes,
Yeah. Because especially, well, actually, all of it. I mean, you're in a combat zone operating at 100%, 110% for months on the end sometimes. And the emotion associated with combat can alter one's chemistry and responses. So, suddenly returning can be very hard for some to integrate back into regular life. Some medicate with alcohol to deal with it, others lash out in anger and impatience. And it could take 3 to 4 months for most to become normal again, some even longer. Um, if they don't see assistance right away, and then others may never adjust, which is very sad. And it can be a huge strain on the family. So we need to be able to try to help more in that area for our servicemen and their families.
very, very true. I'll just add to that the the recovery time is typically lifetime. You
Yeah,
know,
sure it
it
probably.
really is. It's typically lifetime, and you want to stay healthy.
Mhm.
Once we get on that path and we're moving forward, we want to
Yeah,
stay there.
yeah.
Um, and like you mentioned with families, we need to include the family
Mhm.
because if our veteran, well, first of all, the scenario is we have our veteran coming back from combat, and the first thing that is not there is the sense of purpose. Like we've talked many times. Um, so unless we're able to reestablish that, we've got a big danger zone there, huge. The longer it goes, the worse it gets.
Correct.
So what we're looking at is we want to get this process, this whole reintegration process, started before our combat vets come home. A minimum of 30 days. Let's get this process initiated. So when we get home, it's a continuation.
Mhm.
It's not a decision if, when, where to start. No, no, that's I don't want to say self-defeating. Um, it's an injustice to our service members, is what it is. Um,
Yes, and it would definitely help with the transition of moving back into being with family too.
hmm Yes,
and
Yes,
helping them.
because
Yes.
we're coming back as strangers. You know,
Right.
we're a stranger to our family, and because of, like you mentioned, the duration of deployment could have been 6 months, a year, 2 years, what have you. Well, that family has had to continue without the service member.
Mhm.
So they've had to navigate life on their terms, and consequently, the service member is coming back to strangers. They're not the same as 2 years ago when I shipped out. It's just reality. So if we don't include the family in services, again, we're setting up for failure, because if the
Correct.
veteran starts to become well or more healthy, let's say, well, the family's stuck. So now you're creating a new stranger to
Mhm.
it's new stranger environment. So I'm really glad. I'm really happy to hear your position, and I would like to hear more. More of your insight, more of what you're seeing, and what you think, what you would like to do, basically.
Well, as state rep, it would be awesome if I could partner with veterans, especially ones that are going through it or have, and so we could help make legislation to make it better for you all. Because, like I said, you all fought for us to be free.
Yeah, yeah. I agree, and in fact, that's a wonderful position. And there has been some discussion about, there's interest in taking a look at how do we get a legislation passed that's going to accomplish this mission. It's going
Mhm.
to accomplish starting reintegration a minimum of 30 days prior. And the other part is services for the family. You
Yes.
know, um, Lincoln's second Gettysburg Address, when he actually pronounced the VA motto, to help those who have borne the battle, and and their widows and
Mm.
orphans, rather, is how he put it. So back in 1865, President Lincoln at that time already set the precedent that, hey, this isn't a one man show, a one horse show. We need to include the families,
Mhm.
and we need to. My thing is, we need to get that established. We need to do that. We need to do that. Um, I don't know if it's. I'm sure everything needs to begin at a local level. Um, I'm not the political guy here. In fact, they see me coming, and it's like, let's go the other way." Yeah, we don't want to talk to him.
Oh, goodness.
And of course, I say that in jest. I
Yeah.
say that in jest. Um, but we do have some interest. Of course, yours is very strong. Um, so I would really like to see this continue forward.
Yes.
Um, have you do you have do you now have like town hall meetings, or are you accessible for events, for speaking on this topic, or including this topic in, like, your campaign, things that you do?
Oh, yes, absolutely. If anyone would like to hold an event like a town hall or something with me, just let me. You can go to either my Facebook page, which is Rachel Moyer 4PA, or the website Rachel Moyer the number 4 PA.com. And I am going to be at a candidate forum that the Lebanon County Council of Republican Women is having on February 6th at Heisey's Diner in Lebanon.
Okay.
And that'll be a candidates forum where you get to see all of the candidates that are running. But I will be there to do I believe it's like a 5 minute speech that I get to do to say my platform and who I am. But then you can also come and meet me and ask your own questions too at a time either before or after which one it is. But that would be a great
Okay.
time to come. 6 o'clock on February.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. What date is that? I got the 6 o'clock, but I missed the date.
February 6th. It's a
Very
Tuesday.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's right after the Veterans and Families Appreciation Luncheon.
Yeah.
Uh, that's actually sponsored by Congressman Muser, and you've been invited to come out there as well. Um, I don't know what the itinerary is as far as speaking, but I know that it would be great to have you out there to say hi and shake hands and be able
Yes,
to
you
let
definitely
folks
have.
know you're
Yeah,
a
come
friend of the
see,
ve-
answer
you're
questions. Yes.
yeah, yeah, a friend of veterans and families.
Absolutely.
You
Yes.
know, and this is great. This is great.
Mhm.
Um, I am still like actually floored that you took the minute to say thank you because of our freedom was fought for by us veterans, and it's like, yeah, that's just really powerful. Thank you very
It's the
much, Rachel.
truth.
Yeah. What do you mean, a politician who speaks the truth? Oh,
I'm an elected official, remember, not a politician.
okay, okay.
I'm here for the people.
Oh, there it is now. Hey, Sal, why don't you get off the bandwagon? Oh, sorry. No, I'm just kidding. That's not on there.
Mhm.
Well, I'm really enjoying having you on the show. This is great talking with you.
Wonderful.
Um, I'm glad our listeners and viewers are able to visit and see and hear firsthand. Who is Rachel Moyer? What is she about? And most importantly, where is she? Where her passions lie regarding families, kids, and veterans. You know,
Yeah.
um, we could revisit the post-COVID situation again because that's traumatic.
Mhm.
Okay, very traumatic. No one knew. There was no precedent set to be able to know how to deal with it. You know, so everybody is firsthand, and it's hugely damaging. And I'm talking firsthand. There's I know of many kids who basically their lives have gone from extrovert and outside and pushing forward to becoming gamers, isolated, um, interpersonal connections don't exist.
Yeah.
It's all virtual, and as a consequence, they don't know how to interact.
Mhm.
Social skills have bottomed to where there's so much fear, because the comfort zone's not there. They have no clue how to do this. And I've said this many times, unfortunately, the ones hurt the most are the kids who really didn't get enough life experience prior to COVID to have that base to return to post COVID.
Well,
So,
and they were all of a sudden just thrust into that environment too,
mhm,
and doing school online, which was extremely hard. And there's no usually like if you're in public school and then you switch over to homeschool, there's a part we call deschooling. So the child
okay,
would have to learn how to get out of a public school mode of being, in a class with other students and a teacher right there in front of you to move over to, okay, now my class is online and I don't have my friends sitting beside me anymore talking to me and able to relate to them. These children did not have that capability of the deschooling and going into a different environment to learn. So that was one of the major problems. And unfortunately, teachers got the raw end of the deal too, because now all of a sudden, oh, you got to teach online. Well, that's incredibly different than teaching in a class full of 20 children, per se. So our teachers also had an injustice during that time. And both aspects needed to be looked at. And we need to prevent that from happening again. I pray it doesn't happen again, but that's why we need more courageous school board directors to know what the law is and that Wolf didn't really have the command to shut down our schools. That they
That was
really,
incredible.
yeah, I mean, they should have kept, the school board should have said, no, we're staying open. This isn't the school code and what it says to do. But unfortunately, that has never happened before. So a lot didn't know what the law actually was. Um,
Right. No, not to go like put blame elsewhere, but was that a Wolf decision, Governor Wolf at the time? Was
yeah,
that like solely his?
he had told schools to shut down, but instead of like looking into that legality, the schools just automatically did what he said. Um,
Right.
and sometimes you have solicitors that gave advice that wasn't really correct and did that too. Um, Now, some did sue to try to stay open or to, especially for the mask, which is why we got that unconstitutional um, court case that happened when the Secretary of Health had no right to make schools say they have to wear masks for children. But it takes strong people to stand up like that.
Yes, yes, yes. So on the other side, we need to be able to support our people that are willing to be strong. And yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah,
And unfortunately,
um,
sometimes those are the ones that get beat up, and I'm like, "People, these are the ones working for you. What is going on here?"
right,
'Cause
right,
they keep getting beat up. I mean, the good ones are not gonna stay in, and we can't have that. We need to be there to support them. Like, "What do you need me to do?"
right. Exactly, exactly. And I say that. What do you need me to do? How can I help you? Um, I'm not one of the sheeple. you know, you know, our whole thing this year is, let the let the progressives coddle the sheeple. You
Yeah.
know, we're out here. I'm with the lions. It's like it's time to roar in 24. No more of this, sheeple crap.
I mean,
You know, and I'm sorry, I never bought it. I know folks who did, and it's like now I'm hearing, oh, this is going wrong. They're having this issue, that issue, all health related, and it's like, really, surprise, huh?
yeah.
What part didn't you get? Um, so yeah, I'm blown away by how many sheeple actually were. It's like, are you serious? Did you learn nothing? History.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, I'm just amazed. But on a positive, I'm very very glad we're having this conversation. I'm very very glad to hear you talk about standing up and being that strong person and not going with the flow.
Mhm.
And we realize, I think we can agree, it comes back to the money. You
Yeah.
know,
For some it is, yes.
yeah, yeah. They. It's like, well, we'll cut off your funding if you don't go along with the program, and it's like, rarely, but the need has to be there for people to say, well, you know what, we'll find a way to not need your funding, but we're going to do the right thing. And I think I'm hearing you say that. It's like, no, we're going to do the right thing regardless.
Mhm.
And I'm really, really in your corner. I'm glad to hear that. And I'm sure I'm not alone. You
Yeah, it's
know,
all about principles. We have to stand up for principles, for morals, for ethics. I mean, sometimes that's hard to find in this day and age, but it only takes one, and then others will see that courage and stand up with you. But it's hard at first
it
because
is.
you are
Yeah.
the only one. But if you step out and do it in faith, then others will see and then they will follow.
I think not only was Jesus a great example of that, and still is, but
Mm.
I'm talking about physically walking the earth when I say was, um, but to bring that current, you know, Donald Trump. President Trump is another fine example of that. Uh, you know, we really, I don't even have to really describe it or talk about it. It's self-evident. It's obvious. Who are they more afraid of in the whole world? They've gone
Right.
after him like insane. And it's like, why? Well, because he's not part of the program. He's not part of the swamp. He's like, no, I don't need your money. I don't. Yeah,
We
yeah.
didn't
Go
have
ahead.
he was president. I mean, they all said he was going to get us in a war. He didn't. We had peace in it for Israel, the peace treaty.
So now, what else? What else do you see as far as his strength and character to say? I'm gonna travel this road, and I'm not. I'm not. I'm keeping my blinders on. I'm not changing for popularity votes here.
Well, that's basically it. I mean, as the Bible says, we need to please the Lord instead of men. So if you're a believer, um, that is something to try to strive for and to remember. Um, being an elected official shouldn't be a popularity contest. Do you know what?
Right. Right.
We're here to work for the people, to stand for righteousness, and that's what I try to strive for every single day.
What else do you have coming up other than the sixth? We need to get some dates out here if we can. Let our viewers and listeners know. Hey, get this on your calendar. Come out and visit. Come out and support.
Well,
You know.
Monday night we have a petition signing event at BC Fitness in Jonestown, and it's right on Highway 72. And that'll be from 4 to 6 p.m. Because right now, the goal is to get enough petition signatures so that I can be on the ballot for the primary.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
registered Republican, please come out there. And if you're in the 102nd District, please come out there so that you can sign my petition and we can get on the ballot. I need at least 300 good signatures, but my goal is 2,000 so that I don't kicked off the ballot at all.
I don't know. She's too strong. We need to kick her off.
No,
Uh,
well, that, but that's not going to
now,
happen.
now you said the 102nd district. Is that right?
Yes, 102nd.
Okay. So for dummies like me who are not aware of what that covers, what all locations and area does that cover?
So that would be Palmyra, North Londonderry, Annville, Cleona, Cold Spring, Union, Swatera Township, Fredericksburg,
Okay.
Jonestown, Bethel in Lebanon County, um, Jackson Township, Myerstown Borough, Schaefferstown, Heidelberg, and Newmanstown, Mill Creek. I believe that's it. That's a lot.
Yeah, yeah,
it,
that is a lot.
it's almost all of Lebanon County. It's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of constituents. A lot of is it? Are there any numbers to suggest like numbers of children in families or single parent families? What do the demographics look like? I don't know. I don't know if there's data on that or not. I'm just asking. Yeah.
I don't know about the data on that. There's a lot of rural farmland in this district. So, one of the things that I would also be focusing on would be how to help our farmers. What needs do they need? Because they are the largest thing in the state of Pennsylvania. Like, if we don't have our farmers, we don't have food. So,
Very true.
we need to
Yeah.
help our farmers. I grew up on a small farm, my grandparents' farm. So, I'm a farm girl. So
You can relate. Sure.
definitely
Sure.
to them also. One of my best things in my childhood was helping milk the cows and slop the pigs and
Yeah.
do the gardens. So at times I kind of miss that, but yeah, we need to take care of farmers. That's one another initiative that I will be looking at how I can help them too.
It's pretty amazing thing that milk doesn't actually just come from Turkey Hill, huh?
Right. Or Swiss or where else it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I am so glad you had the time to join us today. This
Me
has been
too.
wonderful.
Yeah.
I feel like I've really gotten to know you a little better, and it's like beautiful, beautiful. I appreciate your position. I appreciate your support, and really happy that you're running for office.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you.
Would you care to explain one more time, like how can our listeners and viewers get in touch with you?
Okay, so first I'll do email. It's Rachel Moyer, RachelMoyer, the number four, PA at gmail.com. So Rachel Moyer 4PA at gmail.com. Then if you're on Facebook or Twitter X, it's Rachel Moyer 4PA is my handle. And then our website is www.rachelmoyer, the number four, PA.com.
Now, is there so they could go on your website to catch up with like your schedule, things like that, to see where you might be that they can come out and visit?
Yeah, eventually we will have events and stuff up there. Like right now, like I said, we are just focusing on petitions to get on the ballot. Um,
Okay.
but you could always message me in there. There's a place to leave a message or to sign up to volunteer if you want to help anywhere in the state. If you're a registered Republican anywhere in the state, you can come and circulate a petition for me in the 102nd district. Uh,
Okay.
I have volunteers right now, actually, out in Myerstown Borough, doing the petitions and getting signatures for me from other registered Republicans. So that's one way to help. Another would be doing phone calls for me. We're going to be writing letters to or notes to people if you can do that. For those that can't or not able to do door knocking because of physical challenges, you can help me that way. Another big way to help is to donate because my opponent has been in for 5 terms. And so, he's going to have the big establishment money coming in more than likely.
Mhm.
And to counteract that, donations help a lot. If anyone would like to help do a fundraiser event, please go on our website and do the contact form and let us know what you're thinking of what kind of fundraiser that you would like to do. Um, and I believe that is it for the moment.
Okay. Okay. I definitely want to mention that the fundraising is key.
Yeah,
Um,
yes, it is.
yeah. And it's like, you know, to me, money is a necessary evil.
Hmm.
It's like I almost feel guilty when I talk about it, but at the same time, there's nothing you can do without it.
Right. And
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, I mean, we saw in 2022 how outspent our Republican gubernatorial candidate Doug Mastriano was against Shapiro.
Mm.
And you need money to get your message out. And if you're being outspent, and sometimes it's really hard to catch up, and you need that money to do mailers for people, to do palm cards, to do yard signs, things like that, robocalls, um, text messaging, any kind of digital message nowadays is mostly what you do. TV,
Mhm.
radio, any of that costs money. So donations
Right.
are the key, one of the keys.
Yeah.
Another is having a team. I would not be here without my team. I need my team.
Right. Right. I'm with you there.
Mhm.
Um, well, yeah. It takes. Well, they say it takes a village to raise a child. And in the same context, it takes a team to build support.
Yeah.
To make things happen.
Yes.
You know, Yeah. So, yeah, I'm definitely with you there. Rachel, thank you so very much for joining us. I can't wait to have you back on. I look forward to visiting with you on the 3rd when we have that event. And I think my team. How about this? My team will call your team, and we'll do lunch.
That sounds
Well,
great.
yeah, we'll get we'll we'll get some fundraisers together.
Yes.
Um, because yeah, I really want you blessed with funding to be able to get your message out, to be able
Mhm.
to reach people, to let them know that you care and you've been there, you experienced it, and you will make the difference.
Oh,
So
yes.
thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for tuning in again to Saturday Morning Live. Our guest has been Rachel Moyer, who's running for the 102nd District. Am I correct?
Yes.
102nd District here in Pennsylvania. Um, and as always, please find someone to help.
Mhm.